Hello, my friends. It's Greg Allison with Green Gregs. Hope everybody's doing well. I hope you all had a great Thanksgiving weekend. A lot of stuff's going on right now. We are on the verge, apparently, of a land war in Venezuela of some type. We don't know to what extent that may or may not be. We have just seen two Russian oil tankers on fire about 52 miles north of the Strait of Bosphorus in the Black Sea. I think there's some interesting questions about that we're going to get into. We have Nigeria about to clamp down on the violence that's been going over there, probably in response to Trump threatening to do something about it. Trump's had strikes authorized into Somalia. What about Somalia here in the United States? We've got, well, this whole thing with the two guardsmen who were assaulted. One passed away in D.C., unfortunately. And this has led to a push now for what we call re-immigration, which I think is deportation. Uh, and a clampdown on immigration into the United States. And there's been a mass shooting in Stockton, California. There's just a lot of stuff going on right now. And if I don't bring it up, remind me to talk about threats to the ladies on I-40, especially in Oklahoma. I don't have an article pulled up on that, but it's just something I should mention. There's just, guys, there's so much going on right now. It is time to have your eyes wide open and head on the swivel like you've never had before, because things are getting interesting in the Chinese proverbial sense of, oh, yeah, there's tensions on the Korean Peninsula. Uh, there is Japan and China still chomping at each other. Guys, it's just getting crazy everywhere. There's just nowhere where things aren't getting crazy right now. And this is all the more reason to think, prepare. Oh, and on top of it all, guys, we got a monster sunstorm, solar storm on the limb of the sun coming around at us. Whoo-wee. Hey, I got some good news. I just got my wood stove and flue completely installed in here. So if the grid goes down, I can heat my house without having to worry about going to buy propane anymore. Remember, I saw propane over on my Swivelhead News channel. If you've not seen that, go find it. It'll entertain you. Back when certain previous POTUS was trying to ban propane, everything wasn't electricity. So, guys, you really need to get your preps going. You really need to get as resilient as you can. I am living on my homestead here in Northeast Arizona. I have bugged out to my bug in. This is my bug in now. I bugged out to here, and now it's my bug in location. And I am working on resiliency. I got chickens and worms, and I've got rainwater collection set up. I need to set up more of that. Now I've got my heater. I've got solar. I've got my garden. But I'm gonna redo my garden so it won't take as much water to water it next year. I hope I am. That's my plan. All this stuff takes time and money, and that's a little bit short, but I'm gonna do what I can. So, and I'll hopefully I'll get out and show you guys some of that stuff. Hey, all the sun, new days. Good to see so many people in the chat room, and I will go through the chat room after I go through the news, so the people watching in the morning can get the news first. So that's my guarantee to the morning coffee drinkers, breakfast folks. And I've had a Thanksgiving Day with some friends here, and had the senior center had a real special Thanksgiving for the community. They do it every year. Went to that a couple of days before Thanksgiving, and I'm actually going to a Thanksgiving meal tomorrow with a couple of my channel followers here. Uh, y'all might know Scott and Jen Miller, maybe some of you. So they've helped me out a lot here, a lot. And they've been really good to me, so I really appreciate them. And a lot of other people around here too. Had to have a little swig of coffee. Now I talked about the morning coffee club members. That's just people I refer to watching my videos in the morning. Okay, guys, so let's get to it. Let's hit the news and see what's cooking, because what's cooking seems to be the world, and it seems to be right now a couple of Russian tankers. Let me hit the share here. Give me a second. Ding, ding, ding. I had to move some things around. And there they are, my friends, cooking off in the far distance. And you can see a major smoke plume there. Major smoke plume. So what happened? Well, I don't know that we really know the truth about what happened because what we hear sounds suspicious. At first, they claim a couple mines from uh, Ukraine drifted all the way over 400 miles over toward the mouth of the Bosphorus Strait and just somehow simultaneously struck two Russian oil tankers. And now they're claiming all at once, oh, no, no, no. What happened was two drone boats from Ukraine went over there and hit them. And Ukraine has taken credit for it. But the oddball thing is that true? And I haven't heard anybody else on YouTube mention this. Maybe somebody has, but I haven't heard it yet. You might remember a strange case that I covered. I think it was our last live session here on Green Greg's. It just so happens that there was a Turkish oil tanker hit by a Russian drone and set fire in the Danube. Maybe Turkey did this. Maybe they were getting back, but they didn't want it to be on their back, so they found some excuse, and Ukraine was happy to step up to the table and crow and claim it. I don't know. Hey, it seems highly suspicious to me, but two tankers being hit simultaneously seems somewhat less than a random accident. What do you think? So, is tension starting to cook between NATO member Turkey and Russia? I mean, seriously, Russia hit a NATO oil tanker in the Danube River. I reported on that a few days ago. That is, a lot of people weren't talking about that when they were talking about escalation. And this could be the counter to that, possibly. I think Russia's probably digging this too. They want to know. So Turkey and Russia had kind of, sort of, somewhat got along to some extent, but not perfectly. So what's going to cook here? What is going to happen? Tankers or warships in the skies? Well, I don't know, but they were hit. It may be a case of retribution. I don't know. That's speculation. I got to admit it. And so I'm not going to bring it to you as a fact. But what is a fact is two tankers were hit. And the first story about it was just goofy. And so they backed off and come up with another story. It's interesting. Why didn't they come up with that story to start with? If two drone ships were running around, you think they wouldn't know about it? I don't know. But Kyiv took credit for it. Whatever the case is, Kyiv would love to have credit for all these things. Kyiv being the capital of Ukraine. And for those that aren't quite up with that yet. So this could be a sign of further escalations. And this is a ship channel that carries a lot of maritime news. Captain here, Q Captain or G Captain, excuse me. Anyway, so these are the let's see, the first vessel, an empty tanker named Karyos en route to Russia's Novostrok port was the first one hit. And so I don't know if the second one's empty or not. Let's see here. Shipping agency Tribeca was the agency involved in them. If one of them was not hit, you may have a major oil slick. I'm sure that would not please Turkey. So it could be that there's going to be some tension between Turkey and Ukraine. I don't know. So this is all highly suspicious as to what went down. Maybe they targeted them when they're empty on purpose. I don't know if both were empty or not. One is said to be empty. So maybe I've seen more on this. But let's go on here and we'll look at, there's several reports on this. And if this will change, here we go. Here's one of them exploding. That looks a little high up on the ship for a drone ship to have done it. Now, maybe it was a drone ship, but it looks like it's a little bit above the water line. Now, this may be an explosion that took place. Oh, yeah, the Virat was the other one. These are part of Moscow's shadow fleet of tankers. These are all supposedly sanctioned. So what do y'all think happened there? What do y'all think really went on? Who do you think did it? Right off the Turkish coast. So And so the Ukraine claims it was their Sea Baby naval drones. That's a heck of a name for a attack drone. Sea Baby. Isn't that odd? Sea Baby. Anyway. Mm-mm-mm-mm. So, and then Russia had one of its nuclear missiles explode at the base. It went up in purple smoke after apparent failed launch attempt, one of their ICBM missiles. It apparently had a hypersonic glide vehicle on it. It was allegedly a test flight. I don't know, my friends. What the case is with that, I don't see a good picture of it in that article, but anyway. And then we got the Moldovan president condemning overnight attacks on Ukraine that saw Russian drones cross Moldova's airspace. Now, Moldova is not a NATO nation, but it is another nation. And it is, I showed you back when I did my last session here a couple nights ago, a Russian drone landed on top of a building in Moldova, and we were reporting on Russian drones and went way deep into Romania. Now, why is Russia testing NATO like that? Why? Romania is a NATO nation. Russia actually come out and said Putin said he'd put it in writing. We have no designs to attack NATO. And of course, I also said right before they attacked Ukraine that we're pulling out, we're not going to hit them, and that's when they hit. So, can't exactly take Putin on his word, but on the other hand, why would he want to attack NATO? That's, I probably need to do a video. We're just talking about relative forces available to NATO and Ukraine. I mean, Russia's already lost so much in this conflict, and Russia is actually, here's something else they're not telling you. Maybe I should stop the share for a minute and talk about this. And maybe I should even do a special video on this. China is actually renaming some of the Russian cities in Siberia to Chinese names. They've redrawn some maps, and they've actually pretty much taken possession of an island that was Russian. Russia, and they've got a lot of Chinese companies up in Siberia and Chinese buying things in Siberia, just like they're doing here in the United States. So Russia's at extreme risk of losing a lot of Siberia, especially while they're distracted over in Ukraine. And they know that. So if they get mired down even more in Europe, they stand more risk of losing more of Siberia, or actually losing chunks of Siberia, possibly all of Siberia. And that is where Russia's oil wealth comes from to a large degree. Why would China want it? Because one of the biggest freshwater lakes in the world is in Siberia, and China needs water. China needs oil. Yes, China would very much like to take Siberia. There's no secret about that, and it's a secret fear that Russia has. This is why Russia would do well. And I've told you guys all along that when we made a huge mistake when we drove Russia into the lap, when we drove the bear into the lap of the dragon. And Russia would do very well to make some kind of peace treaty in Ukraine. I know they want to grab a little bit more land first, but they would do really well to stop it, not attack NATO, and sign some kind of peace treaty so they could secure their position in Siberia, because they got a lot more to lose there. But but Moscow is in Europe, basically, and they fear an invasion from Europe, probably more even than losing Siberia. So that's why they are prosecuting the war there. I've talked about that many times, and how it's just flat, wide open land, and an invasion into Moscow would be easy from Eastern Europe. And Russia knows that. Has dealt with that and lost many millions of the people over conflicts like that, and they don't want to see a rerun on that. And that's part of what's going on in Ukraine. Now, two wrongs don't make a right. But so I'm not justifying their invasion. I'm just telling you why they did it. But they've done it at great expense. They've lost a lot of their young men, and their demographics is dropping in terms of their population. And so Russia really needs to think hard about this. They need to back off and think hard, and they could have no better strategic alliance against China than to ally with the United States, and that would put a checkmate on China and their global ambitions. if such a deal was struck. And I, even before well before they went into Ukraine, I said way back then we should bury the hatchet with Russia and form some kind of alliance against China. If you look at the grand strategic scale, we don't have much to gain out of Europe, right here from the United States, to be quite honest. But the resources in Siberia would be very valuable to the United States too. So if the United States went in with Russia and helped them develop it, because Russia don't really have the wherewithal to develop all that. So they would do really well to really change their game dramatically. And so now a lot of people may be against that. So I'll tell you what, y'all tell me what you think. If you think that uh, United States should not try to work on this peace deal and an alliance with Russia against China, put a 1 in the chat room. If you think that's what should happen, put a 2 in the chat room. I'd like to see what you think about it, because to us, our biggest threat, and the biggest threat, even in the long run, to Europe and China and the rest of the world, excuse me, to Europe and the United States and the rest of the world is, in my humble opinion, dragon country, the big red dragon. So, and I don't know if we're going to be successful. You know, there's something in the Bible about a big red dragon rising from the sea. And to the Hebrews, the sea really was symbolic of the Gentile lands. You know, not gentle, but Gentiles, everybody that's not Jewish, basically. So, yeah, I'd like to see what you guys think about that. So throw that in the chat room. I just want to stop the share for a minute just to discuss this with you guys. Maybe I should do a special video on that topic alone at some point if I can find the wherewithal and time to do it. The biggest challenge for me is finding the time to do these videos. It's tough. It takes me hours to put some of this stuff together. That I just did a video on Galactic Grigs. It took me 3 or 4 days to put together. That last one I just posted today took me some time to put that video together. Anyway, so I just wanted to paint that picture for you guys to understand the global geopolitical, what's going on with that. All right, and it also plays into what's going on in Venezuela. So here's a new development. The Ukrainians are saying that Russian middle-sized, not the big drones, but the middle-sized drones, are dropping smaller drones. They're like little aircraft carriers, drone aircraft carriers. And I showed you way back that China's building a big drone aircraft carrier. So, and here's one of the smaller drones are dropping out. So it's a new strategy in their combat. And the Ukrainians have been saying that Russia has made major strides in drone warfare and that NATO wasn't ready for that. And I really believe that, because we're really slow and we keep developing ginormous weapon systems, you know, the billion-dollar systems that benefit, you know, the defense industrial complex, military industrial complex, I guess you should, as Eisenhower called it, instead of really focusing sometimes on what's required to win combat. And if we're going to be facing combat, especially with China, we need a lot of munitions. So that's something. The Iron Dome needs to be looking at a whole lot more better ways than just go to Raytheon or, you know, Boeing and Lockheed and have them and Northrop Grumman. No, actually, Northrop Grumman, if they would use their big solid rocket booster like I showed in a video about 2 years ago on this channel, could have a very effective Iron Dome system. I don't think they're taking that approach. So maybe I need to make another video to drill that in. Maybe too late. Well, Britain has walked away from a rearmament scheme with France, because France turned around and says, we need you to pay us 5.7 billion pounds to make it happen. Imagine that, guys. Game of drones. That's it, game of drones. Yeah, that's the whole new thing. And guys, the economy is getting kind of dicey. Look at this stuff, guys. And because of it, silver and gold is rising. Now, silver has rose real sharply, and probably, you know, percentage-wise, silver is actually outperforming gold. Silver has done really well on the big scheme of things. And so that's just something to bear in mind. I'm trying to find my gold back. It's somewhere in this drawer. Yes. So, just something it's just hit record highs. It went to like $57 a troy ounce. That's a record high for silver. And gold has really shot up, and there's claims it's going to shoot up even more. But what's driving us? Well, dollar finishes lower in gold, and gold rallies on Fed cut expectations. So you think maybe it go the other way, but no. Um, Gold heads for fourth monthly high, and silver hits fresh record high. Uh, Now this is in the South China Morning. What's that P stand for? I forget. But anyway, uh, which is not actually a Chinese government. This is not a Chinese government rag. It does cover some things that are critical against China. So it's this is some independent Southeast Asian news source here. I need to research this one. It's not like the Global Times, which belongs to China. I see a lot of articles from them. But anyway, they're claiming gold could hit new higher records like $4,900 per troy ounce next year. That's what they're claiming here. Wow. And silver may go up even more than, proportionally. That's what we're seeing. But what's driving this? Well, the Chinese yuan is getting stronger against our falling dollar. It's probably going to be the new world reserve currency because previous POTUS, President Taterhead, decided to use the dollar for economic warfare, and it's backfired. A lot of people were screaming, no, 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 don't do it because this is what's going to happen. And this is what did happen. So it was not a smart move on his end. And then here's like a Zimbabwe planning to phase out the dollar and targeting a single currency by 2030. Zimbabwe don't have a ginormous economy, but this is just one of of 1,000 cuts. We got countries all over the global South doing this, and it adds up. It adds up, my friends. So it adds up to the dollar having less demand. As the dollar gets less demand, it's more at risk in the category of being a world reserve currency. If it's not a world reserve currency, then we can't print dollars as much as easily without hyperinflation. How do we finance our and deal with our debt? How do we keep running the debt? Who's going to be buying our bonds when our dollars are worthless? You see what I'm saying? We're approaching the point where we can't finance our nation, and China knows that. And that's why they're doing this. It's economic warfare. Foundation of U.S. economy appears to be breaking, and Wall Street's turned a blind eye, according to this article. So there's other economic malaise that we're dealing with, and this is mainly looking at artificial intelligence, how AI has really driven up the stock market. The stock market is being driven today mostly by AI. A lot of the so-called construction boom we're having right now is driven by building AI data centers. Well, it turns out that a lot of these AI companies, just like back in the dot-com bust, they've got a lot of products, a lot of claims, a lot of gee whiz bang, stars in people's sky eyes, but because it all sounds good, but they don't have credible business plans. They are investing tons of money without products that necessarily are going to have major buyers. It's the U.S. government to surveil you, but they are very in companies that are trying to, hack more data from you, but, to sell you junk, hopefully not junk made in China, but that's what a lot of it's been. So you got to watch this, guys. This whole house of cards can come tumbling down because when you're basing your economic foundations on companies that don't have good business plans, that don't work. When does that work? What happened with the dot-com burst? Remember that? And it's more than just that. We've also got problems with loans too much. I think it's in here too. We're seeing people not paying back mortgage loans, auto loans, credit card delinquencies. We're having huge problems with all this. This is the credit card delinquencies kicking up to new rates. This was back after the '08 bust. This was in first quarter of '09. So this was probably driven by the bust over here in '08. And we're reaching back up to those kind of levels just on credit cards. We've got the same kind of level of delinquencies, like 11% on mortgage-backed securities, mortgages, all these things. So that smacks a little bit of the 2008 bust. So they're talking about a fearing a major recession or slowdown. Economic expansion recessions aren't mirror images of each other claims. So the fundamentals of our economy are very thin, and some people are predicting economic catastrophe. That with a coupled with our falling dollar does not bode well. It might be a reason to consider this. Here you can see the price of gold right now at $4,223.99. That's higher than it was last time we were on here together. It was around $4,000 per troy ounce. That's quite a jump. And silver jumped up to it's at 56.35. It's falling off just a wee little bit. Anytime anything goes up, there's always somebody going to sell. So it's going to go off a little bit. And then even a trend line that's going up overall will have little dips on the way. So this might be the little dip. Might be a good chance to think about, not having all your money in a failing dollar. Or you put it in the stock market. Yeah, I don't have a lot of faith in that area, but I'm not an economic forecaster. But this site here makes they make the deal that if you can find a better price anywhere else, call them and they'll meet it or beat it. Nobody else does that. This is defythegrid.com. Defythegrid.com makes this unique offer. If you find a better price anywhere else, a meter to beat it, you can buy gold, silver, and you can buy it in bars, the bullion. You can get coins, rounds, many different forms, or you can get these gold backs, which is small fungible amounts of gold. This is 1/1000th of a troy ounce that I can carry around in my wallet. And this thing's appreciated in value quite a bit since I bought it. And some others in here. So it's just something to think about. And the smaller fungible stuff makes it, tradable for everyday items, bread and eggs and such. I do say you ought to be raising your own chickens, though, like I am. But, hey, you can buy gold coins, silver coins. You can invest in silver. It might be the good time to do something with silver. But silver is a little bit more fungible than a big gold coin. Anyway, so let's get back to war news. And what we know is that Trump has just signaled, and basically said, he didn't just signal, that ground operations against the Venezuela cartel are to begin soon. Now, he's just also put out basically a notice saying, hey, I'm closing the airspace around Venezuela. Somebody says, well, how can he do it? He don't have authority to do that. Does it matter? What he's telling everybody is we're about to be making hits in that area. And if you're flying around with your aviation assets, you're at risk. It's a warning. So anybody that's flying around the area would not be smart. Thank you, Jesse, for the call to thumbs ups. And thank you, Dace, for sharing my links. So, guys, this is something serious to consider, that you don't even be heading down in that part of the world right now. Stay out. If you had some plans to be in that area for business or other purposes, it's not a good idea. I would stay out of Central and South America right now. It is looking rough. So the question is, here's the question. So they're saying they're going to go after the cartels. What does that mean? Is it like drug boats are just going to hit them on land? I mean, that's kind of the way they're talking, but they just reclassified, the cartel of the sun, as we call it here, and claim Maduro's the head of it. So this could be the excuse to go in for a regime change to take Maduro out. What's left of that? We got the individual that believes she won the last election, who might get put in power, but it's also possible that Iran could fraction into a bunch of warlords and ugly situation, kind of like Libya today. So we don't know what will be the outcome of all this. So here they're talking about closing the airspace, and he did this after he had that secret call with Maduro. So apparently the call with Maduro did not really work all that great and wonderful. At least it didn't stop Trump from putting on more heat, more pressure. So whatever that phone call was and what they talked about, we as yet do not know. But it probably wasn't to the satisfaction of Trump or Maduro. But what the Trump administration is doing is they're working on a plan, an exile plan for Maduro to go to Turkey, because they believe that would be the best place for him for some reason. I don't know. So it may be that Turkey would accept him because Erdogan and Maduro have friendly ties, and Trump and Erdogan have friendly ties. So that might be the connection. to have this exile plan for Maduro. But apparently Maduro didn't absolutely agree to it, at least as of yet, and so that's probably why the pressure is getting higher. So what do y'all think about that? Now let's talk about our guard members. I think I'll show pictures of these. There they are. These are the two, and our lady here passed away. These are the two that were hit at basically the steps of the White House almost. They were only been on duty for less than a day. Here they are again. This was a very tragic situation. Sarah Beckstrom was the one that passed away. She was only 20 years old. And this thug, he was, yelling, Alu, shoot, snack bar, whatever you want to say. I got to be careful. I'm not sure I can say that on here. But so Andrew Wolf was 24 and Sarah Beckstrom was only 20. Just some cute little girl, somebody's daughter, and the dad actually has come out and talked about this. Very tragic, very tragic. So both from the West Virginia National Guard. I know you know about that, but the off thing is this. Oh yeah, now get this. So that was one Afghan who was also tied to the CIA. He was tied to the CIA. How about this guy? He made a threat to bomb. He was on social media making a threat. He apparently built a bomb, and I believe he was going to take out the Dallas airport or bomb something over there or something like that. So this guy, Mohammed Al Kozay, or however you say it. So, but they got him, fortunately, before he did it. Some people are beginning to think that sleeper cells might be starting to be activated. And maybe this is a sign. General Flynn had said a couple of weeks ago to expect attacks in 10 to 15 U.S. cities. He had got when there was going to be a sleeper cell activation within the next 3 months. Now, I don't know if that's the case. I'm just passing on the information. And it's just something as a prepper, you need to be prepared for. This could disrupt a lot of things. And you wouldn't want to be in an area that's taking place in. So what I've always warned you guys is to stay situationally alert, eyes wide open, head on a swivel, and maybe avoid crowds. I think is Colonel Cole in the house? He went to a place with a big crowd this weekend. He went to the Iron Bowl. So say hi if you're in the house, Colonel Cole. Uh, Trump shares a post here from SEAL Team 6 because these guys were training with those guys over there. And even before this, guys, we had been seeing, and I was seeing back in the war reports, where they would be working with these guys and they'd just turn on them. Some of them would just turn on the Americans that they were working with, the ones that were fighting for them. They would just turn on them. I don't know if it had to do with a coffee machine, as Trump claimed here, but you just didn't know who your allies were. And then we just brought all these people in this country unvetted. So what they're going to do is they're going to go back and revet all these immigrants from like 17 or 19 different nations. I think that's a good thing. They should have been vetted before they came here in the first place. So this article claims that DHS is launching a shocking ethnic cleansing. I don't think it's got to do with for mass deportation. I don't think it's got to do with ethnic cleansing. They're going to be trying to vet where these people stand. If you come to this nation, you ought to be supporting this nation. If you're not coming here to support this country, you shouldn't be here. That's the bottom line. You should love America if you're coming to America. If you don't love America, get out. And that goes for some of our members in Congress. Anyways, as I said, we put a big strike on Somalia, targeting ISIS and Al Qaeda. Over 100 strikes this year, which is 10 times more than the previous administration. So we are taking some actions. That's why I said, what about Somalia and America? I don't know what I'm talking about. Then Kim Jong-un, little Kim, He just apparently sealed off his border from North Korea. He's built all these new bases on the DMZ, the demilitarized zone. They cleared out trees. They actually had an incursion into South Korea with some of those troops and caused a little conflab. The current president of South Korea, he got elected on, he said he was going to make good with North Korea and China because he leans to the left, and he's got people in his country protesting against China right now, big time. And apparently his little strategy isn't working too well. So there you go. It's There's a big chance that war could break out. Appeasement doesn't stop war. Appeasement has never stopped a war. Ask Chamberlain from World War II. Or go to his grave and ask his grave, I guess. Hold a seance. Yeah, I ain't believing in that. But anyway, so my friends, just look at history. So the Koreas are at big risk. Now, this is the Chinese fleet practicing an assault. They built their assault bridges and they're drilling for an invasion of Taiwan. This is satellite imagery of this, and this is dated 24 November. So they're doing this stuff right now. They're getting ready for assault. China tested new assault barges for making island landings. I kid you not, guys. So, you know, if China wasn't planning to do a military assault on Taiwan, why are they so worried about other nations supporting Taiwan, such as Japan? Why are they so belligerent over Japan's decision that they need to support Taiwan? Because it really smells a whole lot like China's got some very big plans for a military invasion of Taiwan. That's what it smells like. Otherwise, why would it be so adamant, so belligerent over that? And Japan submarines apparently terrorized China's People's Liberation Army Navy. That's a funny name, an Army Navy. Everything's People's Liberation Army. It would be Navy or Air Force or Rocket Forces. Anyway, Tokyo's got 24 subs. And it's enough and this article says it's enough to fight the world's largest navy. Well, if the United States joins in, or the Philippines joins in, or several other countries, it just might be. But it's enough that's got China a little bit agitated. Hey, I might need that. Oh, that is exactly what I need. I need to go back and check that. I'm in the market for one of those, and they know it. They've heard me talking on here. Uh-oh. Bloomberg, they don't let me see the article, but China, I just want you to see the headline. China demands Malaysia, Cambodia to clarify U.S. trade deals. They're not happy because the United States is making trade deals with Malaysia and Cambodia and others that might get around China's quash on us on strategic metals, on these rare earth metals, and other things. Who's China to be dictating terms of trade to all these other countries? And, guys, it's kind of interesting how, a few months ago I did a video talking about how China could overcome their demographic shortfalls with robotics, how they could actually build up their military with robotics. Uh, what I'm not showing here is the article that says they're going to be putting these humanoid robots on the border with Vietnam. So, which tells you, even though China and Vietnam is talking, and Vietnam seems to be moving closer to China, the trust isn't there. Just like China don't trust anybody because China pushes on everybody. So, and this one so-called U.S. industry leader thought this was fake with all these Chinese robots here, but China has responded that that the guy thought it was fake and had doubt due to a lack of understanding about China's strong manufacturing capability and supply chain, according to the robot company UB Tech. So, yeah, what I warn you about: robot armies, robot factory workers. It's happening, guys. It's happening faster than even I thought it would. But I laid it out a few months ago. I showed you how China could do it, how they could finance it, and how it would be a huge boom to the Chinese economy. So they got every reason. Well, hey, we got a super chat tonight. Yay! Hey, Greg, great show is here. Thank you for your coffee fund. Well, thank you there, C. Napier, 67. I believe you, and your name, Chris, is that the first name? Mr. Napier? Anyway, salute to you. Thank you, sir. And yes, I appreciate that. That's only the second super chat I got all month. So that's very much appreciated. Anyway, robot armies, a push toward Armageddon. Bingo. Bingo. Exactly. And I showed you how they could do it. I told you how they could pay for it, how they could finance it, how they could develop it. I went into great detail, so much so it might have been boring, but I was making the case that what I was saying was serious and real. So I did 2 long videos talking about one, the robotics, and the other, these test tube babies are working on over there. It's crazy. The genetically engineered soldiers, now they're doing that. They are actually doing that. And just to show you some of these robots, now I do see some people throwing dust at the Chinese robotic capabilities, but why are they making so many if they're so bad? They're making lots of them. Chinese humanoid robot dodges arrow with a side flip and nail spin kicks. You know, these, if they got issues with, they're working on them. I'll tell you, they're trying to come up there. Now, I've also talked about this. There is a major attack on Christians all over the world. And if you don't know this, you've had your head in the sand. It's all coming mainly from a certain group. The ones that basically say Alu snack bar. I'm trying to be careful what I say here. But you know what I'm talking about? And it's gotten really bad in Nigeria, so bad that President Trump had talked about sending U.S. military in there. So finally, the president of Nigeria has declared a security emergency to stop this. Hopefully, it will stop it in Nigeria at least. Hope and pray, because we don't want to see our brethren attacked anywhere. So, oh yeah, this is another. Oh, I got that article mixed in with some other robotics articles. Yeah, playing basketball, shooting hoops. Wow. Yeah, they're developing some interesting capabilities. But one thing I've always told you guys is this whole AI thing is overhyped. Large language models will never be intelligent, this expert says. Well, I agree. Now, he's talking about just because he says language is not intelligence. Well, even the language of large language models isn't language as you and I understand it. What the LLMs do is they have tokens that they assign to words, and then get all these words. And they look to see how often one word is associated with some other word. And you put in another word in whatever you're typing, and that makes other associations. So it's all probabilities of associations. They don't really understand jack diddle. It looks sophisticated when you type something into one of these AIs like ChatGPT or Grok or something like that. It looks sophisticated and gives you interesting responses. A lot of times they're hallucinations, and they're beginning to hallucinate even more. So this is not the way that AI is going to take over the world. Now they could back off and come up with some model that's not an LLM that could be more powerful in the long run. But the large language models have got severe limitations. And I don't see them taking over like a lot of people are afraid of. I don't see them ever being sentient, even though some claim that when you remove their ability to lie, they start telling you they're conscious. That could be algorithmic. So those things don't scare me. What worries me is the people controlling them. It's the man behind the curtain. I've said that a zillion times on here. I said that years ago. Watch out for the man behind the curtain, or the snot-nosed kid in grandma's basement who hacks all this stuff. Now, so we're going to change topics here just a little bit. New study claims that America's favorite cooking oil, was it our favorite? Soybean oil is the key to the obesity issues we have in the United States. This stuff's in everything, but it's not just soybean oil. It's seed oils in general. All your seed oils are really bad for you. And that's the main oils being used in cooking. Guys, they led us away from lard and animal fat. They keep leading you away from all the stuff that's actually better for you, like butter to margarine, with its hydrogenated oils that cause free radicals inside your cells. Hmm. So think about these things, my friends. Uh, but there's one thing that leads to longevity. Why people reach for this every morning and tend to outlive everyone else. And what is it? Coffee. So thank you there, Mr. Napier, for the coffee donation. I'll take you up on that, and I'll have a swig right now. Mm. Coffee. Keep that in mind. It's got some interesting benefits. So, we don't just talk about war on here like some channels. I give you some good little health tips and some other things. Coffee can help safeguard you against chronic inflammation as you age. And that's important to know. Turmeric is also good. I used to raise a lot of turmeric. Maybe I'll find a way to raise it out here. Probably have to build greenhouses for it. All right, folks. Oh, there's one thing I wanted to talking about snow and such before we get into that. There's been reports, and I didn't find the article, and I read it earlier though, that the most dangerous place for women right now is I-40, a highway I've traversed a lot in the previous year and a half, but not this year. Well, before this year, I was going back and forth on I-40 a lot. Apparently, they believe that there's up to 500 serial killers that stalk I-40, and a lot of them are truckers, unfortunately, because they got access. So, ladies, if you're anywhere around I-40, don't be alone. Watch it. Anywhere you need to be, you got to watch it being alone, because there's a major risk on I-40, particularly apparently in Oklahoma. So that's the words I got. So, guys, I give y'all a lot of tips that you don't hear anywhere else. So just be aware of that. I just want y'all to know that. Winter storm. It's 13 inches of snow to strike. Extreme caution. Hey, Al Gore, I thought you said there wasn't going to be no more snow. The Arctic was supposed to be ice-free by now, right? Anyway, 13 inches of snow. Extreme caution. And so, yeah, these are in the Western Great Lakes and the Eastern Plains. So where are you looking at? Montana, South Dakota, Nebraska, Minnesota, Iowa, Missouri, Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, and Michigan. And we just had like a 50-car pileup with trucks and everything on, I believe, I-70. That's another article I'm not going to show you, but I'll tell you about it. I just can't pull everything up. And also, there was a big shooting in Stockton that began at a Dairy Queen at a birthday party. Apparently, 20 people hit or more. And I just, guys, you got to stay situationally aware. A Dairy Queen birthday party? Mm-mm-mm-mm. We are living in perilous times. I keep telling you guys that. It may be, some of y'all may not believe it yet, but you don't want to be a victim of it. And then we got this earthquake swarm in California. It's been going on now for 3 days, and they're fearing a big one. They just had a couple of days ago a 6.0 near Anchorage. And one of my Facebook friends was up there in Anchorage when it happened. I said, "Did you feel it?" And she goes, "Oh, yeah." She's an astronomer. She went up to see the Northern Lights. She's originally from Eastern Europe. It's the first time she ever saw the Northern Lights. So she was highly delighted with that. But guys, this is what we're talking about right here. So they had 3.4, 2.6, 2.5 quakes, 30 miles south of San Jose Friday in these areas. So let's go look at the earthquake map and see what's shaking. We got a fresh one here on the Juan de Fuca plate. Brandon, Oregon, 3.0. Okay, this has changed. When I last looked at this, there was 2 on the San Andreas. One of them has disappeared. This one is in Mexico, Pueblo BC, that's not British Columbia, that's Baja California. uh, so we got one up here in Rancho Tehama Reserve in California. What is this one? Bidwell, California. We got one right here in the middle of the country, Danville, Kansas. This must be, I don't know, maybe that's an app. These might be, I don't know, that's not Anchorage, neither one of them, so I don't know. Fishhook, Alaska, 2.5. Gulch, Alaska, 3.1. That's not Fairbanks. I mean, not, excuse me, not Anchorage, where they had the 6.0. You know, one of our biggest quakes ever was in Good Friday, 1964, I believe it was, in Anchorage. Huge earthquake. And a guy I used to work for was there right there on the main street when it happened. And I had some other friends that was up there when it happened. And what they saw was horrific. You know, Japan's got one. We got a fresh little one over here in Indonesia and Depit. We got a 5.0 in Vanuatu. That's a very earthquake prone place. Over just north of New Zealand and the how you say that? Kermadec Islands. I don't know how you say that, guys. And our good buddies in Puerto Rico are dancing tonight. We had one night there was no earthquakes in Puerto Rico. That was odd. And we got one over here in the Dominican Republic, 3.8. So we scroll around a little bit. There's a bigger one, 5.3 in the Kermadec Islands. Down here south, 5.8. It's at Marquette, or I don't know how you pronounce that island, Macquarie. Yeah, okay. However you pronounce it. So Argentina, 4.5. So we got some shaking going on. But what I would be concerned about right now, the thing that would worry me the most is what's coming around the sun. She'll be coming around the sun when she comes. Whoa, back. Right here, guys. They posted a correction on here. Yesterday, we issued a big sunspot alert. We were wrong. It's really big. This is the image from NASA's Solar Dynamics Observatory, Behemoth, on the sun's solar rim. This picture isn't going to open. So we'll look at it here. Guys, that is a giant, giant sunspot. And it could grow. This could be Carrington level. Or do you have your stuff ready? Or do you have your preps prepared, my friends? Are you prepared for a grid down? I'm working on it as much as I can here. At least I will be able to heat my house now if the grid goes down, finally. Whew, that is an ugly, ginormous sunspot, 4294. It is huge. There is nothing good to say about that. Let's hope that it dies that down before it swings around. You better be praying for that, my friends. Really big sunspot alert. You know, it's on its way to be facing us. So that is something to pay attention to. And we got a big crow on a hole here preceding it, which could kind of weaken our already weakening magnetosphere. Got to remember, our shield is our magnetosphere. It's going down. It's lost a lot of strength since the 1859 Carrington event. Guys, we had a lot of close passes on asteroids recently. Look at that one. That's halfway between the Earth and our geosynchronous satellites. That was on the 26th of November. It was only a 4-meter object, but it could have been a rocket stage. I don't know. It wasn't traveling all that fast. But we got one coming up here today that's traveling at 14.1 meters per second. That one's booking at 17 meters, but it's going to be most of the way, 70% of the way toward the moon. So it shouldn't hit us, but that one is booking. We got some faster one down here going 20 kilometers per second. So there's a lot of stuff out there. The Eris asteroid should be visible soon. That was the first near-Earth asteroid we discovered. So somebody with binoculars will be able to see it soon when it comes around. So just giving you a heads up on that. But this sunspot, guys, maybe this should be the lead-in news. I'll probably have, this is going to be grabbing our attention over the next few days. You need to fill your gas tanks up, buy some extra groceries, get everything ready just in case. And here I'm talking about China going after asteroids. And in this video, I'll talk about the threats of asteroids, the threats and opportunities that asteroids pose. And I talk about the size ranges and what damage they can cause, how many have been discovered in each size range. And it's really not good news. There's a lot of threatening asteroids that we just don't know about. This is the video I worked on for about 4 days. I just posted over here on Galactic Greg's. So go over here and check it out. I don't have that many views, only 220. Guys, I need some help with that. We need more views on this. I mean, right now, people don't watch anything that's not 3i Atlas, apparently. So check it out. Go watch this video. That is showing how China is actually going after a quasi-moon and what they could do if they get it. How they could deny us access to space, just like they're trying to have their aerial night, and how they could also control more things like strategic minerals. So this is definitely in China's game plan. So pay a close attention to that. So New Day, should I show the knucklehead on Facebook that you've been bantering with, that you and I both have been bantering with? Guys, you won't believe some of the liberals in this country, some of the things they think. They really think you don't have the right to defend yourself. Literally. They literally think you don't have the right to defend yourself. And some of the comments I've been getting have just been shocking in that regard. I mean, I post stuff on Facebook. It's kind of like I'm kicking the bee's nest, or hitting the hornet's nest with a bat. I've said that, man, oh, okay, it's time to kick the hornet's nest, and I'll post something because there's a bunch of liberals that just jump on and just go crazy. And I've had some of that. Anyway, thank you, Jesse, for asking for the thumbs up. I hadn't seen New Days chime in on that, so I don't know if I should show it or not. But anyway, I'll just tell you, I got it pulled up there if y'all want to see it. I'll let New Days be the judge of it. Facebook idiots. Oh gosh, but what that is a reflection of what some of our so-called friends on the left side of the spectrum really think. And some of it is just shocking to me, just shocking. Absolutely shocking. So she didn't say show it, but so maybe I won't. But anyway, the things they put out there, it's just shocking that they really don't think we have the right to defend ourselves. And that really, really bothers me. They defend criminals to the hilt. They try to keep they're fighting to keep drug gang members who traffic humans, slavery, and bring in all these daily drugs that take out, 70 to 100,000 Americans a year. They fight, literally, to keep these people here. What is in their heads? They've watched so much lamestream news media, they've been hypnotized by it. And they think they're doing the right thing. Go for it. Oh, I got too many other messages in here. I got to kill them. Pardon me. You won't need everybody reading everybody else's messages. So this guy, he's no relation to me. His name's Xander Allison. I posted this story about a young lady who allegedly defended herself. She was supposed to be a skeet shooter. Now, some people have said that's not a true story, and I was going to take it down. There's other news stories that are true about this, where young people defending themselves. But I left it up just because this one guy started throwing out all these lame comments that I thought people would want to see. What was his reply? Because this young lady had skeet shooted and defended herself allegedly. He says, great, child soldiers in the U.S., we're catching up. Really? And then I said to him, I don't know how that comment got up at that point, but let's see here. La 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 la. What was the next comment I made to him? I don't think it's showing. Sometimes this stuff don't show things in order. I don't know what. But anyway, I basically had replied in there to him, what, you don't think we got the right to defend ourselves? And he just ignored that. Let's see here. Where is it where I said that? I don't see that comment. Jeez. I hate Facebook. Sometimes it's just hard to get everything opened. Sometimes it wants to show most relevant. That's why. Let's do all comments. Why does it do that? Makes it look like that's the whole change. It's not. It's not. Okay, is it going to spin forever? There we go. Hey, when you pick all comments, it don't always show everything. Oh, it's going to be caught in this do loop forever spinning here. Oh, that's too bad. Anyway, basically what it was is, I said, what, you think we don't have the right to defend ourselves? That, here it is. Didn't show this coming. Dude, self-protection is a right. Those thugs got what's coming to them. Listen, and I said all comments. Let's see, it don't show all comments. You got to click on some things. Oh, well, that didn't come up. Why didn't it? Anyway, and how did he reply? Tell that to Jesus. Now, I doubt if he really is a follower of Jesus. I mean, that was his comment. So what I did, I just posted right out of Luke 22:35 through 38. Then Jesus asked them, when I sent you without a purse, bag, or sandals, did you lack anything? Nothing, his disciples replied. And he said on them, but now you have a purse, take it with you, and also a bag. And if you don't have a sword, sell your cloak and buy one. And then he said, it is written, and he was numbered with the transgressors. I don't follow what that means, but anyways, and I tell you that this must be fulfilled in me. Yes, what is written about me. Yeah, this is before he was arrested. But somewhere near, he said, yeah, see, Lord, here are two. Yeah, one of the disciples said, see, Lord, here are two swords. And Jesus replied, that's enough. Two swords. So all this banter, no, tell that, say that to Jesus. He thought he had me. But what is this? You don't think someone has a right to defend themselves? More replies here. I said all replies. Like you got to click on stuff. So Xander, oh, you think you should let someone attack you and do whatever they want and then go out and attack other ones? And I said, you are one sick dude. And then he just come back, well, you're a bit gray to be 12 today. What's that got to do with being 12? Yeah, maybe that girl was 12, but everybody has the right to defend themselves. They ain't just throwing out junk, trash, talking nonsense. Anyway, and then I don't know, just a lot of nonsense in here, guys. But this is where these guys are at, and this is what our dear friend here, New Day's posted. Now I love this reply. There's a proven fact that criminals commit less crime after they've been banged. I love that. Anyway, I just wanted to show you all that. I'm going to stop the share. That concludes the news portion for today. But I just thought you would want to see that. But it's just nuts. It's nuts. The kind of stuff they claim, the kind of stuff they say, where they're at on things. It's like, you ain't got no right to defend yourself. You should just, and, if you defend yourself and stop one of these thugs, you're stopping them from going out and attacking somebody else later. That's what they do. They attack, they're serial attackers. So where in the world they come up with that kind of mess? I don't know, my friends. I don't know where they come up with stuff like that. So it's just one of the things we got to watch out for. So I'm going to check my to see if we got anybody that's not chatting with us that might have sent me a donation through my website. So like I said, I like to give credit where credit's due. So I'm going to check and see if we got any email here on that. Oh, it's a specific email open. Don't have an email to that effect. Let's see here. Anyway, so I just, I like to give credit where credit's due. Somebody makes a donation. So I'm going to check through the chat room real fast. We've been over 64 minutes. I can't stand too long. When I go long, people don't watch in the morning. So we got Mag Rising from Alaska. So we did cover some Alaska news tonight. All the Sun, Just Mike, New Days, Cuba American. Marie, how you doing? KP Heathen, how you doing? I got Colonel Cole in the house checking in, disgusted and in a bad mood. Awesome show with Rex. Thank you, all the Sun. Yeah, I did do a show with Rex yesterday on the Leak Project. Uh, Baby girl says aloha. All right, I'm going to do the egg guess here in a minute. Tankers of warships. Okay, Rochelle. Chew Weather's in the house. Chew's a good supporter of the channel. He supports me directly in many ways. So does Arnold. 12 Georgia, 83. Where's your Bravo at? 12 Bravo, normally, isn't it? You got a little different handle here tonight. We got Cha-Cha in the house. How you doing, Cha-Cha? Good to see you. Haven't seen you in a little while, I don't think. Let's see here. City Man, morning, sir. How have I been? I'm doing reasonable. Got over some crud. I still got a cough, but I think the cough is something different. I did have COVID for a while, but I'm testing negative like over a week ago on that. While I'm up and you're live, it says, through my lens, the East Side War woke me up, and it's cold this morning. The East Side War, ooh, tell us more about that. Just had a 3.0 off the Oregon coast. Ooh. Now, Chewy really keeps up with all this stuff, weather and so all these things. L5 looking good. Hey, all the Sun. Yes, L5 Society. So, early member of that. Big promoter. So, yeah, let's see. All the Sun Design. Thank you, New Days, for sharing the links again. And Jesse's always calling for the Greg. Taterhead Dems wanted to collapse the U.S. dollar, supported by the NWO. There you go. That's why I used it as a weapon. Yeah, they want to break this whole country. No plans to go south. Hey, Stan, how you doing, Stan? Stan the man. He's helps us out with the Freedom Frontier. Excuse me. Freedom Foundation, Freedom Restoration Foundation. I was also a member of the Freedom Space Frontier Foundation. Sometimes I get my words crossed. The one plant guy. Well, hey, the interpreters I knew in the Army in 2020 were not our friends. All right, so this is Chris, 42,000 here. The interpreters I knew in the Army were not our friends. He's talking about the people he worked with when he was over there. 2 of the 3 I knew were constantly in trouble for malignancy or whatever it's called. We're going on sick call every day to avoid work. All right. Hey, Space Girl. Appreciate that. I saw the last guy was actually a decent person, but not good stats. Yeah, well, that's the problem. I thought Brandon was more central because they cut off from 26 before Cannon and Seaside. I've been to Coos Bay and Lincoln City. I don't remember. Send directional sign for Brandon near there. How's it going on the show? So, yeah, those earthquakes are hit fast. And Mr. Napier, appreciate it. Robot armies push toward Armageddon. Bingo. Yep, Chris. Okay, very good. So I do remember. All right, let's see. I mean, we got 115 in the house this late hour. I appreciate that. That's good. I appreciate that. Do I have a Cash App account? No, I don't. I don't have Cash App. Doug's youngest turned a year old today. Yeah, Doug's a great supporter. All right, all of a sudden, cheers. Lots of EAM traffic tonight. What is your take on R2 Swan behaving similar to 3i Atlas? Well, yeah, there's been talk about that. It does have an anti-tail. Um, guys, we could have guests in our work cloud from elsewhere. There was the case of a trans-Neptunian object known as 18510 ROM that is spinning too fast. It should fly apart if it were a comet at the rate it's spinning. So it just so happened we had New Horizons probe heading in that direction. We thought we would get a nice picture of this object, but for some reason, New Horizons shut down before we could take a high-res picture of this object. So they thought it was dead. But once they got past the object, far enough that they couldn't take a high-res picture, it woke up again. What's that all about? We may have other things out there in our work cloud, in our Kuiper belt. That's a trans-Neptunian object from the inner Kuiper belt. So even our regular comets sometimes might not be entirely wholly natural. I said might. So there should be some question about it. And to me, the questions regarding 3i Atlas are getting more and more interesting. If you look on my Galactic Greg's channel, look for the video. I got a video where I talk about Dark Fortress concept. It's an offshoot of the Dark Forest. It's not the same. Where I talk about why a civilization would want to settle and live primarily in the Oort clouds and Kuiper belt comets around these objects. Black Rock is in big trouble. Well, that don't break my heart any. They surely hadn't been good to us. Tom Weary, how you doing? Love Wisconsin in the winter. Hey, Rochelle. I might be taking a trip up to Minnesota. Let's see. Hey, I'm Minnesota, Michigan, right, Arnold? I might have a trip in store. So let's see here. Thank you for sharing that link. Cha-Cha, appreciate that. Whoops, what was that? The Vatican is the only United Nations seat that is protecting Taiwan from invasion from China. Really? That's interesting. Yeah, idiots. You're right, Rochelle. My family taught me and my cousins how to bang bang a 22 when we were 6 years old. Yeah, you didn't become a soldier of mass aggression, did you? Yeah, there's an article I seen where some guy attacked and a bunch of people with a lead pipe. I think I'm gonna put a post on Facebook saying we need to ban metal pipes. And just see how they react to it. Oh, it's time to ban metal pipes. The Octagon, I don't know how you pronounce that. Octagon, whatever valley had 2 earthquakes today. Yeah, that's a major valley. Curtis Stone used to operate out of that valley, but he moved out in the mountains. He's probably still close to it. It's actually a pretty good agricultural area, good grow zone area in British Columbia. 3 Mile Ends. What world does he come from? Because there's nobody to save you. These guys got mush between their ears. They've watched too much lamestream media. They've been hypnotized. Anything that's good is bad. Anything that's bad is good, or their whole worldview is upside down. There's a flat waffle like Italian cookie. Oh, okay. East side of town, somewhere pops off 7 to 15 kibbles, 3 to 6 times. Oh, that's not good. 3 Mile Ends. Maybe you need to move. Pyramid 7 is MIA. Yeah, when I seen her, Kelby Snap. Well, John Cole was in the house. John Cole was in the house. John Baxter. It's late for Judy Dowell. Hard Nat, Wendy. Yeah, we're missing some people. Amanda. All right. Thank you for sharing that. New Days. Cha Cha. Plain Reality. Let's see. Michigan is now banning BB guns. Oh, Lord. Slingshots are next. Plastic butter knives. Lordy, 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 Lordy. Uh, Look, people are going to do bad things, will find a way to do bad things no matter what, whether they're using cars or something. The problem is the intent of a dark heart. And these people don't want to address that because they love people with dark hearts, apparently. You know, and they put them in prison and they claim they're rehabilitated. What rehabilitation is really taking place in these prisons? I don't think it's much. If the sun explodes, I guess it'll just, our time is over. Well, I don't know if the sun's going to explode anytime soon, but a major solar flare could take us out. There's no doubt about it. And those sunspots are dangerous, especially when you see something that big coming around. It's dangerous. Yeah, it could be civilization in an event as we know it. That's why you need to prepare. I'm planning to do a civilization cycle video. Maybe I can get it done tomorrow, but I am going to a dinner tomorrow, so I've got a lot to juggle. And I don't know if I can put it all together to actually put the video up tomorrow or not. If I can, I will. But I thought I was going to be able to do that Galactic Greg's video a lot faster than I did. So let me show you the video I'm talking about. Let's click back over and do a share real quick. We're going to do the egg guess in a second because I'm covered the news portion. So here we are. When you're on the computer, you can always, it's actually this one, but when you're on a computer, you can always just click videos. This don't work as well on a phone, especially if you want to hit the search button and search for something on the channel. It just don't work right on a phone. But anyway, so the video that if you haven't seen it, you ought to see where I explain this stuff is, where is it? Uh-oh. Let's see it. Oh, yeah, here it is. Dark Fortress. Because what's really out there, Dark Fortress. This video talks about my answer to the Fermi paradox. Now, I did this video because the topic is kind of spooky, so I wrote up a bunch of poetry and read it in a spooky fashion and got some spooky music, and it's full of video. A lot of special effects and video in this. So I'm going through a lot of extra to make this a good production. I don't know why I didn't get more views and say that one or this one over here. This one should have been getting more views than any video I put up lately. This is my answer to the Fermi paradox. So if you watch this, you'll understand why comments are something we should be very interested in. And yeah, Three Eye Atlas could be both a comet and a technological object. They're not mutually exclusive, as some would suggest. You could be both. And in fact, I would expect it to be both. That's exactly what I would expect if somebody were coming to visit. So check some of these videos out over here on Galactic Graves. If you're not subscribed to it, subscribe to this channel. I've got a lot of good content. And I do cover other more mundane things like regular rockets. And the Army's anti-gravity program, that's really about Ning Lee. I probably would have got 10 times more views if I'd have put Ning Lee in the title. So I may have to do another video here. The mighty F-1 rocket engine here. That one actually got a few views. Saturn V moon rocket, air turbo rocket. This is Selling on Sunlight with Les Johnson, a good buddy of mine. I got another video on him where I actually interviewed him directly. So quite a bit of content on here. I need to reorganize how this stuff shows. Anyway, just to let you see that. So I'm going to stop the share again. Galactic Greg's. There's two other channels that got similar names. There's a Galactic Greg's with an apostrophe S. That's a comic book shop. There's a Galactic Greg. He's a preacher. But Galactic Greg's, Jerry GS, just like Green Greg's. No comma, no apostrophe. That's the channel. Anyway, we have been on here for a long time. We've been on for over an hour. I went through the chat room. So let's see. Let's get back to the chat room and pull that up again. So using asteroids as generation ships has been part of some. Yeah, well, I'm talking about comets. You could do an asteroid, but there's a lot more material in the comets. So much more that's just unbelievable. How much more material there is in the Oort cloud and Kuiper belt. Within 30 to 380 years to certain any time, but if we could do anything Earth facing, quiet, and spew out the back port side. I'm not sure what you're saying there, but anyway. Anywho, Mini Nova. I do not at all subscribe to anything put out by Ben Davidson. That guy don't know what he's talking about. He is an idiot. And his mechanism for micronova, what he claims, don't even work in physics. The Earth's crust has never slid like he said, not in never. I have gone in great detail explaining that in the past, and I can do it again. There's tons of geological evidence that just blows everything he talks about totally out of the water. So I don't want to go on all that tonight because it's late now. We've been in here for 81 minutes, but I've got videos where I've talked about that on this channel, not on Galactic Regs, on this channel. Somebody asked me about the Chan Thomas thing. How do you survive a Chan Thomas event? I was asked that. So, okay, I did it. But I really shoot that down big time. Could be. They could be panspermic colonies, especially 3I Atlas. And it could be on the verge of seeding Jupiter. You can see I covered that on Galactic Regs. So see that. Alrighty, guys. I'm not here to be attacking other YouTube channels, but you know, sometimes I just got to set the record straight. So anyway, man is a little egoish. Yeah, we got to remember he's selling the states up there. He's making a ton of money off scaring everybody to death. We got enough to worry about without what he's claiming. What he's claiming is almost unsurvivable. But you know, there's plenty to worry about without something that far off the wall. All right, guys, it's egg time. It's seated. It's egg time. How many eggs did I get today? First guess wins. How many eggs did I get today? We could definitely get major solar flares. That's plenty enough to worry about. All right, we got the first guess. Keep guessing. How many eggs did I get today? 4. Arnold Smith, you got it, but I don't know what your R is there, but yeah, I got 4 eggs. Arnold, you guessed it. 4. Arnold got it first, although I don't know what the R is. Cha put it in there, but Arnold, you got it. 4 eggs. Here they are. That's the 4 eggs harvested today. Yeah, I'd had a day with no eggs, and a couple of days I only got 1 egg. But today I got 4. Now, yesterday was only 1, but today 4. 1 yesterday, 1 the day before, and 0 the day before that. 0. But today I got 4. Yeah, I got live streams explaining about the comets. Okay. Well, I got tons of videos on Galactic Grids where I'm talking about 3I Atlas. So you want to watch, especially the last one. So in any event, it's interesting. That's all I'm going to say. It's really interesting. And now it's something to be highly suspicious of. I think I'm going to put up some Christmas lights here in a day or two. So again, hey, I want to thank Chris Napier for the super chat. I want to thank all you mods for everything y'all have done to keep the channel clean, for sharing links. I want to thank everybody for coming here and watching. Please share my videos. I need this channel has been squashed hard. My views have been dropping. My subscribers have been dropping, and I think it's the platform. I really think it's YouTube. So I need all the help. Y'all need to get in. Still waiting for all expenses paid to lost wages. Yeah, that's the last place you need to go. uh, Hope everyone be a better day. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, we face a lot of threats. I just say prep and pray and hope for a better day. But you always got to keep your eyes wide open, head on the swivel, my friends. Always. Just keep that in mind. Situationally aware. Things are getting crazy right now. You don't know when something can happen right next to you. Don't forget the thumbs up, including the coffee bunch and latecomers. There you go. So, excuse me. Again, thank you everybody for watching. Please come in and make comments on the comment section after I post a video. Spot somebody else's. Hit the thumbs up. Give me some thumbs up, guys. That helps. Anything that, the algorithms do respond to that, even when they're squelching you down. Things like that still help. So help my channel. Share my videos. That would help more than anything else. So let's see. Yeah, thank you all. And so to one and all, a good night, good day, wherever you are.